In section 19 of Counsels and Maxims, Schopenhauer generalizes the rule that he articulated in section 18. Here's what he writes. The preceding rule may be taken as a special case of the more general maxim that a man should never let himself be mastered by the impressions of the moment, or indeed by outward appearances at all, which are incomparably more powerful in their effects than the mere play of thought or a train of ideas, not because these momentary impressions are rich in virtue of the data they supply, it is often just the contrary, but because they are something palpable to the senses and direct in their working. They forcibly invade our mind, disturbing our repose and shattering our resolutions. It is easy to understand that the thing which lies before our very eyes will produce the whole of its effect at once, but that time and leisure are necessary for the working of thought and the appreciation of argument, as it is impossible to think of everything at one and the same moment. This is why we are so allured by pleasure, in spite of all our determination to resist it, or so much annoyed by a criticism, even though we know that its author is totally incompetent to judge, or so irritated by an insult, though it comes from some very contemptible quarter. In the same way, to mention no other instances, 10 reasons for thinking that there is no danger may be outweighed by one mistaken notion that is actually at hand. All this shows the radical unreason of human nature. Women frequently succumb altogether to this predominating influence of present impressions, and there are few men so overweighted with reason as to escape suffering from a similar fate. That's the first half of section 19. Schopenhauer continuing this distinction between the influence of the senses and of the concrete immediate thing in front of us, the chambermaid from the previous section, and the work of thought. And the indication here is that by our very nature, we are irrational. We have a strong draw and preference towards what is concrete, what is sensible, what is in front of us, because it offers all of its good at one moment. We can see all the benefit, all the effect of it right there in front of us. The working of thought requires time to understand and time to grasp. It is going to be the work of a much more mature and civilized and well-governed self. So there's the sort of nature that's built in. Schopenhauer continues. If it is impossible to resist the effects of some external influence by the mere play of thought, the best thing to do is to neutralize it by some contrary influence. For example, the effect of an insult may be overcome by seeking the society of those who have a good opinion of us, and the unpleasant sensation of imminent danger may be avoided by fixing our attention on the means of warding it off. Leibniz tells of an Italian who managed to bear up under the tortures of the rack by never for a moment ceasing to think of the gallows which would have awaited him had he revealed his secret. He kept crying out, "I see it! I see it!" afterwards explaining that this was part of his plan. It is from some such reason as this that we find it so difficult to stand alone in a matter of opinion, not to be made irresolute by the fact that everyone else disagrees with us and acts accordingly, even though we are quite sure that they are in the wrong. Take the case of a fugitive king who is trying to avoid capture. How much consolation he must find in the ceremonious and submissive attitude of a faithful follower, exhibited secretly so as not to betray his master's strict incognito. It must be almost necessary to prevent him doubting his own existence. That's the end of section 19. Two really interesting points here, I think, in these final paragraphs. First, that essentially, given that we recognize the irrationality of our nature and our inclination to overvalue the immediate and the sensible and the pleasant over the work of the hard work of thought and discipline and philosophy, we ought to try to beat the senses at their own game. If we know that we will take offense at an insult, no matter how ungrounded, we should then try to surround ourselves with people who will pull our nature in the contrary direction. And then this last paragraph, really fascinating to me in an era of social media, he says this explains why we find it so difficult, even when we're certain we are right, to bear up under the social pressure of everyone else thinking otherwise. It's because of this irrational natural inclination we have to overvalue what is immediate, what is concrete, what is right in front of us, which here would be the opposition of the masses, and to undervalue, relative to its true worth, the value of thought and of truth and of our reasoned conclusions. So the image of the fugitive king, who requires, really kind of psychologically in order to function, requires the secretly given, hidden honors given to him by the one retainer traveling with him who knows his royal status. Very, very interesting, I think, and powerful image to carry forward for the lessons of section 19. So that's the end of section 19. Section 20 is the last section of chapter 2. We'll look at that in the next video. Thanks for watching today.